I think that young Latinos, as they were coming up, they were looking for more. And I think no one should fault anybody for looking for more. You look at the Bernie Sanders people, they're looking for more. You can go back to the Ted Kennedy race in 1980, of which I was very heavily involved. And young people then were looking for more. So I think there's a role that young people play in this country. And they're fresh and they're energetic and they're new ideas, they're different ideas. And I think it's incumbent upon leaders of all ages to recognize that, because you don't want power and you don't want to hold a position on forever. You want to hold on to a position for as long as you can be effective. And then you also want to share that, and you want to mentor people, and you want them to come up into the system and do as well or better than you. I think somewhere in our kitchen tables, parents have told many stories. The days of people changing their name so that they would be more anglicized are long gone. And I'm talking decades back. But I think at the kitchen table, people do talk about it and do share with their children. Where it's really lacking is in institutions like Texas Department of Education. You can't be putting out books and accepting books that in any way portray any specific group, especially in this case that I'm aware of, Latinos, in such a negative light, because that's not who we are. I was born in Mexico. I was born in Zaragoza, Coahuila. I came here since I was 2.5. I've been here over 60 years. At the age of 17 and a half, I became a naturalized citizen. I have voted in every election. And voting is probably one of the most patriotic acts that you can do. Having a voice in the political process is a responsibility and another patriotic act that I think you have in this country. And for anybody to in any way cast any kind of derogatory statements about me, I'm not a rapist and I'm not a drug dealer. I've been a law-abiding citizen of this country who I love and respect. But you should not try to put me in a box that I don't belong just for your political expediency. And I think people need to stand up and say something about that and not put up with individuals who think that that makes them leaders in this country. We were not looking to take anybody down. We didn't want more than what we deserved. We just wanted a voice. And I think that out of frustration of people ignoring you, then you do what you think you need to. So you saw marches, you saw protests, you saw press conferences being called left and right. You saw leaders ascending to bring this issue to light, to question government. And that anger, honestly, if I recall correctly, was really channeled correctly, because the political system did change. And it didn't change in a negative way. It just changed into a different perspective that needed to be as part of that government. I think one of the things that people might think when they see pictures and they see boardrooms filled with men at the table, or press conferences where men are talking, or meetings between leaders where both are men, is that you think that women didn't play a role. But I'll have to tell you that the role that women played was instrumental in making this thing happen. They were always there. The problem was that men didn't always want them at the boardroom. Men didn't always want them at the press conference or in a meeting between leaders. Women worked very hard in those voter registration drives. We probably had more female coordinators than male coordinators. It's not to say that men can't do it, but it is to say that women obviously coordinated better and did a better job. Was it difficult for women to be there? I'm sure some men would have preferred for women to stay at home. But those women were strong women. And they knew that their family and the well-being of their families came first. Whether the men at the boardroom table thought that or not, they thought that. So it was a matter of time before their women started saying, I want a table at the boardroom. I have something to say at the press conference, and I've done my work. I want to be part of the negotiating table. So women have just not been highlighted in the work that they did, but they were clearly responsible for registering voters, for getting them out to vote. And women have a way of representing a family and speaking on behalf of children and speaking of the benefit of all people, I think, in a much better way than men do. You know, I think there's a lot of work to be done. And I don't think that numbers, great numbers, mean that the work has been done. Because it's the policies, it's the laws, it's the fairness of policies and the fairness of laws that really means something. You can have a lot of people sit on a council, but do they have the comfort of coming up against economic power? Do they have the strength and the courage to say, no, it's not fair? And until they do, our work's not done. And until economic power in a city, in a county, in a state, or in a nation understands and really values human beings for who they are and for a voice that we should all have, then that struggle is still there.